Good day, everybody. We're here again, State of the Nation, Nigeria, the largest concentration of Black people on the face of the earth. Plenty to unpack. There's always something going on. But today we're going to look at the Independent National Electoral Commission. How independent is the Independent National Electoral Commission? You know, there are so many issues of public trust, you know, and it's not new from the days of FEDECO, you know, Ovio Whiskey, Michael Ani, Necon, different names, but it's the same thing. You know, I mean, the most distinguished among them probably is Humphrey Nwosu, who against all odds was still able to, you know, in the military role, make sure election results were going out until he was stopped forcefully, you know, but every other person seemed to be at the whims and caprice of the ruling party and
the executive. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why today I have a special guest also. I always have my guests are always very special. It's a no holds barred thing. So that's why today I have my friend and brother, Henry Shield. Henry Shield, welcome to State of the Nation.
Good afternoon from here, and it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you, Henry. Henry is well known to everybody. He's a Nigerian political commentator, governance advocate, public affairs analyst, you know, and so on and so forth. If I start reading everything, we probably won't leave it today, you know. But one thing he's known for, he says it the way it is, and that is really very good, you know. And he's also been a member of PDP in the past, you know. He's been a political appointee as political assistant to ministers and all that. So he knows the rudiments of what we're trying to talk about. And for somebody that is always as consistent as the Northern Star, my first question to you will be, do you still have confidence in the Independent National Electoral Commission as a truly independent electoral body? Or has the trust been funded and eroded? Okay, over to you. Has it been
absolutely not. No. Absolutely not. From the screening of this current INEC chairman, Professor Amokweton, to the sequence of things that have happened since the swearing, they lend credence to the fact that it cannot be trusted, not just by me, but any rational thinking Nigerian. There's even something that is cooking presently. Sahara reporters just yesterday, about 24 hours ago, made a disclosure that this current leadership of the INEC have been given $50,000 each, and also a plot of land each in choice areas in Abuja by the FCT minister. Don't get me wrong. It is okay as an INEC commissioner or chairman for you are entitled to land as far as you are a tax-paying Nigerian. But when special concessions are made for you by politicians that you're supposed to administer over, then it becomes bribe. There is no other way to call it, because what they should, whether you are INEC, whether you are governor, whatever,
none of them has denied it.
They didn't. No, they didn't deny it. They only denied the 50,000 naira dollar aspect. They didn't deny the allocation of the land. Wow. In fact, the commissioner of the INEC rec in FCT, the residential electoral commissioner for FCT, acknowledged receipt of that land, of that allocation of land from the APC.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think I saw that. Wow.
So on what basis should anyone trust INEC? Look at the charade the chairman has been displaying since last week against the ADC. Why would the national man of the Independent National Electoral Commissioner become like a spokesperson or advocate for a splinter group within a political party? Theirs is supposed to be strictly regulation of political parties' activities, nothing else. You should not be an advocate or an I don't know. Why is Amokweton speaking for Bala? Why is he speaking for the man who wants to hijack the ADC? We are fast on the wrong lane, because what we are witnessing today under this current INEC leadership is a total desecration of the sanctity of the electoral process. A total desecration. You look at what INEC is saying. You look at what the presidential spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, is saying. Then you look at what Nafiu is saying. You will see a synergy between the three of them. INEC, INEC, INEC. And I am glad that you did not choose us to address Tinubu. You did not choose us to address the governors. You chose us to address the foundation of our democratic experience, which is the actions and inactions of the INEC. This current INEC needs to retrace its step completely and save Nigeria's democracy.
Let me ask you this, because the issue of independence and perception. So from your perspective, is the problem with INEC or lack of actual independence, or a great perception among Nigerians that it is no longer neutral? Because the INEC chairman and most of the people in charge are being appointed by the president. So one would think that it's impossible for you to have been appointed by the president in the first instance and not be loyal to the president. So like I said, from your perspective, is the problem with INEC or lack of actual independence?
Well, the system itself that created the formation of INEC, this current law that we have, which makes it the duty of the president to appoint an INEC chairman. That is a flawed provision in our law. A very, very flawed process. It is something, the provision should have been that someone is nominated and then the Council of State or whatever decides. You understand, the appointment shouldn't be done by a politician belonging to a political party. And this has nothing to do with
Tinubu. The appointment, the Council of State ratifies it.
But then the president is a member of a political party.
Oh, well, that's true.
He is a member of a political party. He is partisan. Yes, he is the president of the country, but he is also a card-carrying member of a registered political party. So just the way you called me and asked that we have this interview, imagine that you called me for an appointment. Oh, shoot, I want you to oversee so and so project on behalf of Nigeria or on behalf of my company somewhere. Definitely, if I get to that position, it is your interest as my appointer. It is your interest that we want to protect.
Wow. Okay, so let's look at it this way. To what extent should INEC chairman be personally accountable for the controversies and credibility issues surrounding, mistakes made by INEC, election irregularities? You understand? To what extent? I mean, I'm talking of the INEC chairman now, because Jega was appointed by Goodluck Jonathan. You understand?
Yes.
And
absolutely.
For all intent and purposes, Jega did not toe Jonathan's line. You understand? And I didn't see Jonathan try to force Jega to do anything. You understand? Even though we know how powerful the president of Nigeria is, you understand? He could have done and undone so many things. So that's why I asked, to what extent should the INEC chairman be held personally accountable for the controversies and credibility issues surrounding recent elections? Over to you.
Okay, thank you. You see, we all have personal beliefs.
Okay, beliefs. Okay.
We have our levels of discipline. Discipline, right? Like you rightly said, Jega was appointed by Jonathan, but you saw the actions. His actions were to protect the institution that INEC is, was to protect the Nigerian electoral process, was to protect everything that had to do with the election that was conducted under Jonathan. And there was no interference. Now, that is for people who believed in nationhood. That was, people who felt there's a need to separate the state from individual office holders. But we do not have that today.
Yeah.
We have today people who are emasculating the very system that brought them in. We have a situation where the SY INEC chairman, has just been appointed by APC as an ambassador. A man that retired in November, that's like 5 months ago. 3 months after his retirement, he has been given a political appointment. That is not how nations are built. That is not how institutions are built. That is not how to put, because what you are doing, you are signaling. You're signaling the next INEC chairman that if you win, there is also a reward for you tomorrow. So what it means is that you need to play to our tune. You need to make sure that you protect our interests, so that when your tenure ends, we'll also know there shouldn't be such rewards. The man has served his country already, whether creditably or creditably, it is between him, his conscience, and his God. But to not give political appointment, if you say, how much should the INEC chairman be held accountable? My brother, it is left to him. For a chairman who has shown obvious and apparent and public bias against the opposition, I have a serious reservation about his person, his character, and his ability to hold his own against the people that appointed him. I have a serious reservation about that, because a lot of things have happened. When we started, we were talking about the allocation of land by Wike. Last year, the same Wike decided that it was time to build a new headquarters for the INEC. Now, what happened? He invited the president, who was on his way to Benue. The president came and commissioned flagged off a new INEC headquarters there on Zambezi Crescent in Maitama, right? What this means is that everyone in INEC now sees APC as their boss. Oh, these are the people giving us new headquarters. These are the people funding us. It shouldn't be so. It should never be so. What they should have done, if INEC wanted to build a new headquarters, they could have made the request in their budget presentation to the National Assembly. It is then the National Assembly will allocate such funds to them. If the executive is okay with it, they release the fund. INEC goes and gets his own vendors or contractors to come and build. But for the executive, for the APC government to now do like it is donating an headquarters to INEC, it rubs off on the credibility of the commission. It speaks negatively to their nature as an umpire. It discredits them. It discredits them as a platform that should be unbiased to all political parties.
Okay,
so I think that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. Let's look at what is happening in the PDP and the ADC. Let's start with the PDP. You know, of course, we all see that Governor Makinde was saying that he was at a meeting where Minister of FCT, that's Nyesom Wike, promised the president that he will hold PDP down for him. Is it fair to say the PDP is dead and buried?
Oh, well, I don't know how long you've noticed what I say most times in the media.
No, I follow you.
About 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago, immediately Tinubu came in and, you know, it was good. The issue the PDP started. I made a public pronouncement and I said that the PDP will most likely not have a presidential candidate in 2027. That is like 2.5 years ago. You know, a lot of people came, you are making negative declaration, prophecy of doom and everything. I said, because I have seen the way this thing is going. The aim of Wike is not only to undermine the success of PDP or the blowing up of PDP. His aim is only to ensure that Tinubu is re-elected. He doesn't have any problem with states or local government or senator or House of Rep positions. What is Wike's only assignment in the PDP is to undermine it and ensure that the party that once led this country for 16 years does not produce a presidential candidate. Number one, my own take is we live in a lawless country. That is why things like that can actually happen. Wike has been all over the country shouting the praises and campaigning for Tinubu. Wike has been in Port Harcourt setting up structures for the renewed hope agenda for Tinubu 2027. He has disbursed buses and what have you. Wike has never hidden his plan to campaign for Tinubu. He has always campaigned for Tinubu. Members of the judiciary have been seeing that in the news. They've been watching that and they've been seeing everything. This matter came to the judiciary, and guess what the judiciary did? The judiciary stamped his seal of either legitimacy or illegitimacy on Wike and gave Wike and his group the legal backing. You understand what I'm saying? Even when they have seen everything this man is doing. So yeah, I have said times without number that if the PDP did not watch itself, it was not going to have a presidential candidate. And what did I expect the leaders of the party to do? I expected the leaders of the party to reach out to a lot of stakeholders who have left the party, think tanks, people who are strategists, to say, ladies and gentlemen, how do we move forward? This thing has been said that is going to happen in 2027. How do we avert it? What do we do? What plan do we engage? Nobody, nothing. When they go for their meetings are always about, inconsequentials. And here we are today. Pride, ego, greed. Greed. Those are the three things that got the PDP to the sorry state that it is today.
Wow. So
and I don't see any, I don't see any hope. I don't see any hope. Wow. The moment the PDP allowed the APC to hijack the judiciary, they lost every form of surprise or comeback or salvation. The moment you allow the ruling party to hijack the judiciary, then you are done for. And that is the same thing happening in the ADC today, using the judiciary to undermine the opposition. Using the judiciary, our judiciary has become shamelessly partisan, recklessly involved in politics. Okay,
still on the ADC matter, you actually, do you believe that the judiciary is actually at the whims and caprice of the federal government? I mean,
absolutely, I believe so.
Wow.
Please ask me my reason.
What are your reasons? Naturally, I will do that.
Thank you. God bless you. Because when we talk, I would like to lay my own facts, my observations on the table. All right? Now, every time, every case involving the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, all cases, whether he is the litigant, whether he is the defendant or the appellant, doesn't matter. Every case that involves him, he always wins in court. Every single case. And I can chronicle them for you. Wike never loses in the Nigerian court, ever. He never loses in the Nigerian court. So what you have is, and then there are special judges that are assigned to any case involving Wike and any other person. Only about 3 of them. Those 3 judges are the only judges in the whole Federal High Court in Nigeria that take cases that pertain to Wike. My brother, there's nothing else we need to look at. That is just the truth. What's his name? The judiciary has gone to bed with our oppressors.
Wow.
Okay.
So now, I mean, let's look at the INEC chairman still. In 2023, it was clear that Buhari was not particularly supporting Tinubu, at least not verbally, his body language and all that. Yeah, I know there were some period they wanted Lawan, but against the run of play, Tinubu came in. Now, I mean, so it's obvious that Buhari was not pushing INEC per se. So how then did INEC chairman, then Mahmoud Yakubu, professor, ended up working for Tinubu? Do you understand? The president.
I don't think you actually know who this man called Tinubu is. There is nothing he can't compromise. Nobody he cannot compromise, except you're ready to lay down your life and defend what you believe in. There is nothing and nobody that Tinubu cannot compromise. In the run-up to the last election, there was a voice recording of a phone call that got leaked. And in that phone call, a particular contractor in INEC claimed to have received $170 million. $170 million. A particular contractor claimed that so and so had given it to him. It's online. The tape is online. In fact,
I remember.
You remember? Okay, so my brother, how many people will see $170 million and still stand for the truth? How many people will see such humongous amount of money and still stand for what is right? Not so many people. Not so many. Not so many people. That's number one. Number two, we have a proverb that says,
about the witch cried yesterday night and something, yeah.
The witch cried last night, the baby died this morning. After we saw that leaked audio recording of somebody being, allocating $170 million for INEC to help him achieve his aim, on election day in 2023, we witnessed what INEC termed glitch. Technical glitch. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
While the whole world was focused on Nigeria, while the whole world was watching Nigeria, while everybody was concentrating on what was going on in Nigeria, an individual had the temerity to switch off the IREF and disrupt the uploading of results from the polling unit to the INEC database. One individual decided to switch it off on election test run again. But on election day, someone had the guts, the audacity to switch it off. My brother, there is nothing that this man cannot compromise. I haven't made any allegation. I have just stated my own observation. This is what I see. This is what I see. And then when litigants, when the opposition went to court and everything, you saw INEC coming out to defend the actions of the current occupant of the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. INEC coming out and an unbiased umpire coming out to take sides, refusing to release document and what have you to the litigants, just to ensure that they thwarted the process of litigation, the election petition process. When you say INEC under Abdul Mahmoud, I think Mahmoud Yakubu remains one of the most suspect INEC chairman, apart from Morrissey, in the history of Nigeria.
Okay, so with all you're saying now, let me ask you, from your political experience, what are the options left to the ADC now? Within all that,
I will not be able to say the option
online.
Online. I might text it to you later, but the option is not palatable.
Okay.
But that is the only way to go, because the level we've got into today, we've seen the handwriting on the wall. Labour Party, they caused commotion there. PDP, they caused commotion there. NNPP, they caused commotion there. ADC, they want to cause commotion there. These people do not want any challenger against 2027. They are doing whatever they can do, and they are provoking Nigerians and daring Nigerians to do their worst. So what is left on the table for ADC today is something that is not palatable, but is the only thing that must be done. Okay, let me give you an example.
Okay, go ahead.
On this Monday, right? Thursday, last Thursday, there were people that wanted to go and protest at the INEC office to protest the removal of the names of the national chairman and national secretary of the ADC, right? Now, I'll take your mind back. A day before that, their own protest, the opposition protest, some group of people protested to the INEC head office that, oh, they must remove David Mark's name, they must remove the Aregbesol's name, they must obey so and so other. They protested peacefully in front of INEC office, peacefully. Nobody harassed them, nobody disrupted their protest. Guess what? The next day that opposition wanted to go and protest the removal of the names of their chairman and DG, do you know what I saw there? I was there. I saw armored vehicle. I saw soldiers. They packed them behind the High Court. Okay? Then, for you to access INEC head office from both sides, both from the NEPA side and the next third front side, they had police barricade the road with their vehicles. And then you had a lot of police vehicles along that Zambezi Crescent Road, on that Zambezi Crescent Road, just because people wanted to come and protest. One of the policemen that I interfaced with told me that their job is to pursue anybody that wants to come here and come and protest in a democracy. In a democracy. So let's not be diplomatic about what is going on in Nigeria. The truth of the matter is democracy is dying already. In fact, it is in coma. Is in the ICU currently. The only thing that can restore democracy to Nigeria is a total face-off. I wouldn't say more than that. That word I don't want to say, I will still not say it. Okay? But the only salvation for ADC and the opposition in Nigeria today is a total face-off. So that is the only way.
So you think an opposition party can never win the election, at least at the presidential level?
Unless there is a total face-off, because these guys, I see them manipulating the whole system. I see them even creating two templates of results. I'm sorry, but there's a whole lot around this. I see them, when I was with I think it was Shehu Okinbaloye of Channels TV, when I was with him on his podcast last year, and we're discussing Wike matter and everything, and I told him, I said, see, I see a situation where the court will give legitimacy to Wike to issue nomination forms. That already kills the PDP. The follow-up question made it seem like he didn't believe what I was saying. But where are we today? That is where we are, right? Let me make another projection. Against 2027.
Okay, go ahead.
I see a situation where there will be two templates of results. Two templates, right? One is the one that you people went to vote at the polling unit. One is the one they manufactured. The one that favors them is the one they will upload. It is just an hypothesis. It is just a postulation. But that is my projection for 2027.
Wow.
Unless the opposition is able to counter it, unless the opposition is ready to challenge that, unless the opposition is able to strategize and counter this plan. That is what I see happening in 2027.
Do you think they are doing that, or do you think they have the capacity to do that?
Well, I think they have the capacity to do it. The issue is, do you think they are willing? Because I've interfaced with a couple of the opposition leaders from the topmost of them. I've interfaced with them, the presidential aspirant. I've interfaced with them, a lot of them. And what I see is there is a level of distrust between all of them. You understand? This one doesn't trust this one, this one doesn't trust this one, this one doesn't trust this one. You understand what I'm saying? So it is a serious issue, and it is causing friction. The synergy that should be there is not there. I'm not seeing it. Yes, what we see in public, what they post out in public, yes, they try to show that it is one house, one family. But that is not what I see. That is not what I am witnessing. That is not what I have seen with my eyes. And until they are able to close ranks, they need to close rank on beat for the sake of dying Nigerians. They need to close ranks for the sake of this country. They need to let their ego go. They need to overcome their personal greed and ambitions. Let this 2027 be about saving Nigeria first. Unless that is done. If that is done, like I saw a few days ago, they are setting up their diaspora network. Do you know how many years ago I raised the issue of diaspora, externalizing the battle against APC? Under Buhari, this is over 8 years ago that I started raising this issue. We did a letter to the White House. We wrote to President Trump in 2016 when Buhari was misbehaving. We even led a protest to the U.S. Embassy here in Abuja, submitting I think about 15-page petition against Buhari to the United States government. I led the protest. So it's not something anybody is telling me. I led the protest. You understand what I'm saying? And everything we brought down against Buhari, we expected the opposition to, since we are no longer members of any party, we expected them to look at these issues that we raised and use their networks to make sure that the international community reads what we said or the complaints we are laying. They didn't. Look at what Buhari did to them in 8 years. Look at what Tinubu is doing to them in 3 years. So I'm happy they've taken that advice. They've decided to externalize the war. If Tinubu is misbehaving in Nigeria, things can be done to him abroad. You know, the government doesn't like international disgrace and all that. It's a very good idea. There are other strategies that also need to be adopted. Listen, it is possible, and let me be on record as saying this. It is more than possible to remove Tinubu from government next year.
Why do you say that?
It is possible. He has failed as a government. He has failed as a president. Economically, he has failed. Health-wise, Nigerian healthcare system, he has failed. Security, he has failed. Employment, he has failed. Even budget execution, budget.
Their argument is that he inherited a very terrible economy, a very bad economy.
Okay. What he inherited, let me tell you, because these guys are very vicious in their defense of evil. What Tinubu inherited in 2023, if Tinubu can return Nigeria to exactly that same spot today, we will vote for him. No, we don't want him to add anything. No. He should return Nigeria to where Nigeria was as at the day 29th of May 2020.
Status quo antebellum.
No, not antebellum. This was a status quo.
Status quo. Oh, God.
If Tinubu can return Nigeria to where Buhari handed it over to him, Nigerians will start jubilating on the street. I can take this phone now and move around some streets in Abuja for you to see how many stores are completely shut down, how many businesses are folded up, how many families can no longer feed 3 times a day.
Let me ask you, I have 2 more questions before we round up. Now, Bola Tinubu is not somebody that can be said not to be prepared for presidency. You understand? He was governor for 8 years. He's always been in the political equation. You understand? Always, if he's not supporting Jonathan to get presidency, he's supporting Buhari. And for all intents and purposes, he's been able to hold on to the Southwest very well. Even when he lost it through the court, they got Osun and Ikiti back, and subsequently Oyo and Ogun and all that. So he can be said to be a neophyte. So, and
yes,
politically and leadership-wise. So what do you think is hampering his ability to deliver? What do you think? Is it age? Is it what?
No, it's not age. Let me tell you. Yes, age is contributing to it, right? We have not seen his medical, so we don't even know if he's mentally available to govern. You understand? But as an analyst, what I would say started Tinubu's problem was that his reckless statement on the day of inauguration. Subsidy is gone. Let me tell you today, my brother, there was no plan to remove subsidy on the first day of inauguration. There was no.
It was not in his speech.
No, it was not in the speech. I can tell you.
Oh, wow.
It was not in the speech.
Wow.
Subsidy is gone was an invention of Tinubu.
Wow.
So that was the singular mistake he made that has not allowed this government to rest for the past 3.5 years, 3 years. That singular error of saying subsidy is gone. Listen, it won't be the first time someone will try to remove subsidy. President Jonathan tried it in 2012, January, right? When we heard about Save Nigeria Group and what have you in Lagos, Ojota protest and the rest. Removal of subsidy is something that is drastic. So you do not do it wholesale at once. You do it in phases. You do it in phases. The reason why you do it in phases is because fuel, right, ties up every other thing in Nigeria. Transportation, housing, food, water. Everything in Nigeria is tied to that fuel. Once the price skyrockets, it has a devastating effect on a spiraling effect on every other thing. Tinubu was reckless to have used that word. Now, there is something a lot of people didn't notice. When President Tinubu made that statement, Tinubu did not mean it as a policy statement. He made it as an observation. Please listen carefully.
I am. When
Tinubu made that statement on the 29th of May 2023, it was not made as a policy statement. No. It was made as an observation of what he has seen from the handover note from President Buhari. Unfortunately, we reacted to it in a panicking way. If you look at Tinubu's Twitter handle, a day after that pronouncement, his own handle, official Abat, disclaimed it. Okay, no, it was Bat Media something. Disclaimed that statement that no, we are not removing subsidy. What we are saying is that Buhari did not make arrangement for it. Does not mean we will not make arrangement for it. We are not removing subsidy. His own Twitter handle tweeted it.
Wow.
But you know, Nigerians, we react to things, in a very funny way. That was our subsidy. Because look at it.
But from what we hear now, I mean, governors are getting 3 times their normal monthly allocations.
What is the effect of the 3 times in the life of the common Nigerian? You and I'm asking you today, what is the effect?
I think the problem also is that if you're on 3 billion before and you're taking about 9 or 10, the value of that 9 billion is like the value of the same 3 billion before. Or
you get what I'm saying? It's not even just that. Do you know maybe the road you will construct in the past with maybe 500 million? Today now you are considering it with 2 billion. Because what? Your naira has been devalued. Because what? Look at the naira to dollar exchange rate. You understand? I will still say it. Tinubu did not prepare for subsidy removal, and making that statement and not having the courage to retrace his step and tell the public that no, I did not remove subsidy. That is why his government has not found peace up to today. And it is impossible for his government to find peace. It is impossible. You do not remove subsidy, which is the life wire of the livelihood of millions of Nigerians. You remove subsidy from 200 and something million Nigerians, and you now share it within 36 state governors. What kind of government arithmetic is that? You understand what I'm saying? So Tinubu made that error, his inability to immediately correct it, because immediately he made the statement. By the time he got out of Eagle Square, the venue of the inauguration, he noticed that people have started panic buying fuel. So instead of reversing, he just felt, let's just continue. Now, okay, we have continued. What are your plans? Where are the cushioning effects? What have you put on ground to help buffer the pains? What have you put on ground to help ameliorate the sufferings of millions of Nigerians? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because what? He didn't have any plan for it.
Let me ask you this. Time is never our friend. Yeah. I need to ask you, what do you see I mean, everybody is saying the country is in a bad place, the economy is bad, blah, 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 blah. What do you see? What do you see for the future of this country? What's our worst case scenario? Because you said the health is not working, security is clearly not working, education, everything is down. Nothing is.
It is not that I said this is the reality of
Yeah,
ground.
I know. I'm buttressing.
You understand? And I would say this. Do you know our doctors are going on strike now?
Yeah, I read it.
Do you understand? Yes. For a nation that its president is buying 5 billion naira yachts, for your doctors to be going on strike, for a country that your president is launching thousands of new buses, new campaign buses, you say your medical doctors are going on strike. That is absurd.
What's our worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario is that Nigerians are going to eat the street.
Wow.
That is, it's not even a matter of will it happen? It's like looking like a matter of when will it happen? Because there is a level you push people to, and when they have no place to run to anymore, they will turn back and face you. And that's the level Tinubu has pushed Nigerians.
From all indication are extremely religious people. The religious people too are not preaching, demonstrate, because most countries that we've had this kind of upheaval, it's always been pushed by the church or the clerics in the Islamic world. It's not happening in Nigeria. And Nigerians are not known, they're more of docile people than that. So why would you think this time around it will be different?
Because those religious houses have started speaking out. Those ones that haven't been able to speak out in the past, they've started speaking out. In the north, in the mosque, they have started speaking out. And I know some churches that are also have started speaking out. See, there's nothing to hide. There's nothing to run away from. The country is in a mess, a total mess. Let me give you a story.
Yes, do.
Personally,
yeah.
Yes, personally, I fuel my generator 35,000 naira every night.
Oh, wow.
Every single night. I'm not saying 2 nights. Every night. Today I'm going to fuel 35,000. Tomorrow, in 10 days, I run 350,000. In 1 month, I run 1,050,000 naira on fuel.
Oh, wow.
Only in the night alone. I'm in the office now. We didn't start this interview on time because I had to also go and make sure that they put on the generator and what have you. And I am telling you, it is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. It's not possible. We are an oil-producing country. What is the benefit of this oil to you and to myself and to millions of Nigerians as citizens of this country? Where is the money? Where is our money?
Wow.
Thank you.
Henry Shields, thank you for your time. Thank you for making time for us. Thank you for demystifying NEPA and make sure you got light that we will have this interview. I know that's quite a... So to the viewers, you've heard from him, things are not looking too good. The INEC is not independent. Even if they are, they've not shown that they are, So maybe Professor Amopiton has a lot to prove, or more like he does. I've heard other people say Amopiton must go, but that cannot be done by just mere saying it. The man has just been appointed. Does he deserve a benefit of doubt? I mean, time will tell. The opposition party too. I mean, the ruling party has said the opposition party should put their house in order. They should not just keep blaming them that they have little or nothing to do about whatever they're going through. That, of course, naturally, they must be happy it's happening, but it's self-inflicted. So it's a wrap there. And once again, I say thank you, everybody. Mr. Shield, thank you for your time, and I'm sure we'll bring you back again. We'll bring you back.
Absolutely, anytime you want. Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful.
You're most welcome.